25 years ago today, one of Scotland's newest football clubs created one of the greatest shocks in Scottish Cup history. Inverness Caley Thistle beat Celtic 3-1 at Parkhead. It was the day that launched Caley Thistle round the world. It was a day that cost John Barnes his job, and it was a day that gave us one of the greatest headlines in Scottish newspaper history. Yes, Super Caley go ballistic, Celtic are atrocious. A quarter of a century on, we're back in the Highland capital. I'm Roger Hanna, and I'm here with a man of the match from Celtic Park that night, once of Celtic, but always a Caley Thistle legend. Charlie Christie is here, and Charlie's going to tell us about the men who went ballistic at Celtic Park all those years ago. Charlie, how are you?
Fine, Roger. Fine, thanks.
You remember the night so well. The manager, of course, Steve Patterson, went into Highland history that night. He still comes back, doesn't he? He still comes back to the club regularly.
He does. He was back last Saturday at Hospitality, Steve. Great to see him. He was always welcome here. As you say, he's a legend at the club. I think because of that night mainly, but obviously the successes at the club. But that was the night that I think rubber stamped him as a Caley Thistle legend.
Now, you were giving away secrets here, 34 at the time. You weren't the elder statesman of the team. That was your goalkeeper, Jim Calder, 37.
37, I think Jim was at the time, and he did great that night. He always tells me he should have won the match. He would greet and face, but yeah, fair play to Jim. He did a great game, and it's amazing because people won't know this, but he's a centre forward. Jim, he became a goalkeeper late in his career. He was a centre forward for Inverness Thistle, so I don't see Jim too often. Must get him back to a game actually, but fantastic character.
We've got the match report spread that night. Super Caley go ballistic, Celtic are atrocious. A fantastic photograph of one of the scorers, Paul Sheeran, now number 2 to Derek McInnes at Kilmarnock.
Yeah, great coach, Paul, and a great player actually, an integral part of that team. It's funny, I knew when he was stepping out the penalty, he scored, he didn't miss penalties, Paul. But a great guy, really popular guy in the change room, Roger, just really good guy, sort of guy you wanted in your team. The only reason I just think he didn't play at a higher level is he admits himself he lacked a bit of pace, Paul, but great player, great character, and a very, very good coach as well. Now,
one of the goals, of course, his only goal for Caley Thistle was Lubo Moravcic's own goal, but your third scorer, Barry Wilson, and again, a local lad who you see regularly here.
Yeah, Barry's helping us out at the moment actually with the hospitality. People love seeing Barry, he's a legend here. Great, another superb player, so it was good. I see Barry quite regular, we're going to get more involved in the club as the months go on. But another one who played his part greatly that night, gets the goal and also gets the penalty.
It's obviously a night that bonded that team together, but you do see a lot of them regularly. Ross Tokley, he's been back at the club helping you out as well in recent times.
Yeah, Big Tokes has been coaching my youth academy. He just finished a year ago and went to the Highland League senior football bit. He was with me for 5 years, so a great individual. He was a good coach with the youth academy. Did loads of good work for us in that 5 years, and I see Ross about the place as well, and he's just finished coaching the Highland League, so it'd be nice to think he might come back.
I remember in years to come after 2000, Inverness came out the Championship, as it is now, into the Premiership as it is now, totally on one side. Stuart Golobeck and the other, he was just a player at the beginning of his Caley Thistle career back in those days.
Yeah, he was, it's a good way of putting it, he was, and we didn't realise, like so many of that team, you didn't realise where they could get to, what level they could get to. Stuart Golobeck came from Highland League, as did several of the team, and he just excelled, he really did. As the club progressed, Stuart progressed, ended up being a regular in the Premier League.
Striker that day didn't get a goal, but he went on to great things, scoring another big goal for Caley Thistle against Celtic in the cup in years to come. Dennis Winus.
Yeah, one of my favourite teammates. I'd like to have a 20-odd year career, and Dennis is one of my favourite. I often say when I get to do interviews that the best player I played with was Paul McStay, and that's a fact. But Dennis would be a close second. I just enjoyed playing in the same team as Dennis so much. Great touch, great game awareness actually, Denzel. And although he didn't score that night, he was a hugely important part of the win.
You talk about people like hugely important. There's not been many over the years since Caley Thistle was founded in 1994 that they contributed more than Mike Teasdale. He was a great, a legend of the club in the early years.
Yeah, he came. I remember Dougie McGilvery, the chairman at the time, with the signing. I think Mike and Brian Thompson signed on the same day, I think. And again, we realised that the local players could get us so far, certainly out of the bottom league without a doubt, but we needed to look to the Highland League to look at the best talent there. And Brian Thompson and Mike Teasdale fitted the bill, and Mike was a real warrior. I mean, and he didn't get plaudits sometimes for the ability he had. I mean, as a player for Elgin, he was a phenomenal player for a couple of years.
Mark McCulloch too, I know he's another one you've stayed in touch with over the years, a big player at the time for Caley Thistle.
Yeah, well, Mark did, it's great. Mark did Paul and I's running for us, you know. He was the legs in the midfield area, so very important, you know. He was the one that would sit a wee bit deeper, he'd probably class the number 6 in the modern day terminology. So yeah, Mark was really important the way we played. He gave us that wee safety valve defensively. You know, he had obviously Bobby Mann, Richard Hastings behind him, but he was an important part of that team.
You touched on them there. I was just going to ask, Bobby Mann, a legend who went on, you know, play for the D, and Richard, I mean, a Canadian international, came to the Highlands and loved the place.
Yeah, well, Bobby's a phenomenal player. You know what he lacked in pace, and he did lack pace. He's Bob's the first one to admit that. But his sense of where to be on the pitch at the right time, you know, again, you can't buy that, as modern coaches will tell you. A lovely striker, a really good technician of a football, Bobby. Richard, good player. It's funny because he played left centre half that night, as you've alluded to, whereas he mainly was left back in his career, and he played for me as manager here as left back, ever present. Great athlete, really good athlete, but you know, both of them that night, when you think the quality player they were up against, you know, played really, really well.
You do touch on the quality of player they're up against, you know, we joke about Lubo's own goal. Mark Viduka started the game for Celtic. They sent on a substitute called Ian Wright, who I think had scored a few goals in England prior to his time. So remind me of the Caley subs, Andy, because I think Kevin Byers was there, and the two Martins, Martin Babbage, Martin Glancy, important players as well at the time.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because Martin Babbage was there on Saturday. His son's on loan half at the moment from Aberdeen, scoring goals for us, which is great. So Martin was a guest of ours in the boardroom with his wife, and we reminisced about this game actually, you know, as we always do. And Martin, you'll not remember this, Roger, but I do, that the ball ended with Martin when the full-time whistle went. Martin's got him in the right wing. He was a good out for us. He was like Barry Wilson, he had great pace and a strong individual. So, and the two other guys were great. Kevin Byers, a good player. Kevin came on a wee bit of running down the clock. I mean, Martin Glancy, he was a Celtic fan actually. He just loved it. You see his face when he ran on the pitch with 4 minutes to go. Big cheesy grin in the face. So it was just, they're good guys, and as you say, they played their part as well.
You're talking cheesy grins. You let me know, even though he was 4 years of age, your son Ryan, who would later go on and grace both clubs, he was allowed to come down to Glasgow for the big game?
He was. He threw a bit of a tantrum, I believe, when the first game was called off 10 days earlier. I wasn't there, the wife was there, so she said, I think, to calm him down, she promised him that when the game was rescheduled, he would definitely get to it. Little did we know it would be a rain-soaked Tuesday night, but no, he's delighted, and he was, you know, just seeing how his career's panned out and the part that Celtic Football Club had played in it. It's quite fitting that he was there that night.
Does he remember much about it, you think?
He remembers a bit about it. He remembers the celebrations, maybe. He can't even remember the game, typical for a 4-year-old thing, but he remembers the celebrations thereafter and the feeling of what 4,500 fans we had, the sort of feeling of euphoria that something special had occurred, you know.
And there's a fantastic photograph of the players celebrating in front of the Caley Thistle fans. I think 4,500 Caley Thistle fans made the trip midweek to Celtic, but you're not in the photograph. Not because you did your hamstring in the night, but because you were getting your man of the match award.
Aye, I know, some idiot took me to the sidelines and grabbed me at that time and gave me a, you know, and I'm thinking, these boys, I actually ran over them thereafter when they've just finished that and says, thanks a lot guys, you could have waited 2 minutes. Because it's a great photo, it's like the headline, it's quite synonymous with the game in the Highlands, you know, that picture of the boys holding their arms and going in front of the fans, which I think is quite a German thing to do. So I was a bit disappointed I'm not in the photo, but no, just a great night, and it was great for them to do that in front of fans. The fans all stayed back, and the Celtic fans, there's hardly a Celtic fan in the stadium. They were obviously so disgruntled with the way things had gone, but just again, it was just another layer on what was an incredible night.
And it's a headline that's still a quarter of a century on. People still talk about it, and I know it's one you loved yourself.
Brilliant. I mean, I thought it was absolutely incredible. You know, we were in the golf club the following day, carrying on the celebrations as we tend to do in the Highlands, and it came out, I think Sky Sports showed it in their banner at the bottom of the screen. We just all bought into it then, and the Caley fans, the t-shirts were made of course thereafter, and it was just, but I thought it was absolutely incredible, and we got the story where it came from, but it just fitted that night as well, because you know the other big thing is Celtic were going through turmoil at the time. There's no getting away from that. I'm a Celtic fan, and I always feel it's great because I always feel I played a little part in the resurrection. Martin then came as manager. A year later they were winning the treble. So you know, but the headline was just summed up the night superbly.
Charlie, thanks very much for your time. Well done again.